the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now, if you just look at those countries, particularly India and China, in terms of the population of the globe, they're between around one third of the population, just these. And of course, now BRICS has expanded. Their last very important meeting took place in Johannesburg
Yes.
earlier this year. All of these leaders came of these five countries, except for Vladimir Putin, who was charged by the International Criminal Court for, well, the actual thing he was charged for was removing children out of a war zone area. And so immediately the International Criminal Court, which is more appropriately called the International Colonial Court, because it only tries the, people, different dictators in Africa and so on. It will dare not try Israel, Netanyahu, or American generals and presidents for their war crimes in Afghanistan and Iraq. So it has lost much of its credibility to do that. So Putin didn't go. His Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, considered one of the best in the world, he went there, and this was the what was so unique and important about this meeting was the additional 6 members that that were allowed to join BRICS. I mean, Iran, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and Argentina. Yeah. So, but we'll see where Argentina goes, whether it wants to stay in or not. It just got a very right-wing government. But that was the idea. And again, as you correctly say, this has been a type of economic integration. Sometimes they call it kind of Eurasian integration, Asia into Europe, with all of these important stops along the way, from Central Asia, Turkey, Iran, so on and so forth. So this project has been going on now for a while. First, One Belt, One Road. Now it's BRI by the Chinese, the Belt and Road Initiative. And so many countries, putting aside the BRICS, so many countries wanted to just join the BRI, get on board, and the BRI entails massive investment in infrastructure, roads, trade, intercultural exchange, and so on. So that's kind of like the origins of BRICS. BRICS has not come out and said that, look, we are a political, geostrategic, military alliance.
Right.
No, that's in some ways, that's not the Chinese way of doing things either, right? I mean, it's not like they want to establish the model. Now, that what they did in China was miraculous, lifting 850 million people out of poverty. But they always insist is that we need to, all cooperation is what they call win-win cooperation. And that does not necessarily mean it's like a Chinese model imposed here or there. But it's very different from the Western model, in which it's kind of is a zero-sum game. That, if you're winning, someone else is losing. And so in addition to the massive requirements that IMF, World Bank loans require when giving out loans, there's no such thing in China. In fact, it's waived off literally billions of dollars of debt now to many African countries, Latin American countries, and some Asian countries as well.
Rightly said. So the other thing, when you look at this entity as a whole, even if you disregard the 6 other countries that have recently become members, it encompasses about 43-44% of the world population. It's about 33% of the world GDP. So there's a lot of conversation these days about multipolarity of the world. Do you think that we're getting there? Is BRICS the answer to that?
Yes, you're absolutely right that there's lots of discussion on this issue, especially by those who actually do want to see a more equitable global order in which all member nation countries, can have kind of an equal say on how to deal with many of the global cascading crises, whether it's the environmental crisis or economic crisis, massive economic inequality that we've never seen before. So all of these issues are kind of the ones being pushed by what used to be called the non-aligned movement or the G77 in the UN. And you see in some ways, the resurgence of that spirit of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. That spirit was of an anti-colonial nature. And the point is made is that, many people who talk about the post-colonial state, one of the problems with that is that most countries do not feel like they're actually gotten rid of colonialism. Yes, they may have a different flag now than they did, and so on, but the fundamental systemic and structural predicament that these countries find themselves is no less than a form of neocolonialism, right? They are becoming indebted, they're exploited
Correct.
for the cheap labor, and so on and so forth. So it's you see the continuation of that type of a pattern, which is why, as you mentioned, one of the centers that I direct, Islam in the study for Center for the Study of Islam and Decoloniality. So we talk more in the sense of decolonizing, and what we feel is that it was an incomplete decolonization for many of these countries, and that the task for us is to deepen that decolonization process, which is part of this process of multipolarity growing throughout the world, which you see regional blocks. So regionalism is one way of kind of confronting the unipolar United States. But the writing is on the wall, coming back to the writing is on the wall. American decline has been there for quite a while now. It's just quite astonishing and staggering the way we are seeing, these defeats happen, and just their kind of inability to be in control of any area of the world. And first and foremost, it's the Middle East, where the U.S. has just completely lost control.